My name is Byron Arison. I have a PhD degree in organic chemistry. Well, my father was very interested in science and he encouraged me to go into chemistry, and I liked it, and I went through at the University of Michigan during the war and received a BS degree in chemistry. And believe it or not, I was approached by DuPont and asked whether I would like to work for them. And it turned out that they invited me to be part of the Manhattan Project. And I was told day one what it was all about, and that I had to be very careful about who I would talk to and what I would say. So it was a new experience for me. While on the Manhattan Project, I was part of a group that loaded the uranium cylinders into the reactor. So that's my offer in fame here. But after the war, I decided to explore getting a job in chemistry, and I applied to Merck. I had over 200 publications, most of which are co-authors, because lots of people get involved. The American Chemical Society publishes a second journal in addition to the standard one, more sociologically oriented, and they give advice to chemists. Try to do what you can to improve scientific literacy, which I agree with. But finally they asked me, what is the best thing you ever did? There's a feeling of satisfaction when you predict something and it works out to be true. I would have to say that while a lot has to do with your skills, still there's a lot that has to do with luck. And I was hired and got involved in this new revolutionary instrument, which allowed me to get contributions to a number of drugs that are ultimately on the market. And there's a feeling of satisfaction when you know that you have made a contribution to the general health of the population. I received a visit 1 to 2 months after I published my discovery. This fellow who worked for a German company came over, delivered 2 sentences, and left. And I repeat the sentences. I want to compliment you on your discovery. It really opened up the field for us. And it was that second sentence that convinced me that this should be taken as the best thing I ever did. So I would say that the career was very successful, made lots of friends, and had obtained a very good reputation there. We hear a lot of negative comments about the pharmaceutical industry, and to a fair degree, the negative comments are deserved. But you should be aware that there's another side. One of the best things that I worked on and contributed to was what was called river blindness in Africa. People who either swam in a river in Africa or walked alongside of it, if they became bitten by a mosquito that had the parasite in them, you would go blind within a year, and there was absolutely nothing that was available. But we received a visit from a Japanese researcher who had an arrangement with Merck. He brought over a soil sample, and 24 hours after the initial biological data was determined, I heard my CEO say, "We have a drug here." And it turned out that drug was the first drug that was very favorable for dealing with that river blindness. I've encouraged the teenagers of my second marriage family get a degree, and if possible get a graduate degree, because I think that is going to be considerably important given the statements I've heard that we cannot hire anybody with sufficient competence for these jobs. So that's one of the most important things I can pass along. And the people I've met and married have been very successful in keeping me going. But I had my weaknesses too. Wife number one was Japanese. And we were the object of a great deal of attention in the 50s. And that was a time in my life where I was annoyed with that, and I became very good in outstaring people. And then on our honeymoon, which was in the Caribbean, there was another woman staring at us from about 50 feet away, and I thought that was just marvelous. What was the reason for that change? Hollywood was making a film at that time on that island. And who was that woman staring at us? Rita Hayworth. So is there something not quite mature inside my brain at that time? You decide. And it was a successful marriage, but she passed away. And the second marriage was also a success. She worked at Merck too, and when spouses number one were both alive, we would double date, bridge, New Year's Eve, going out, and she became a widow a decade before I did. And after I became a widower, it wasn't too difficult to start up that relationship again. And I like to think that made a big imprint and with her family. How often does a woman approaching 80 get an opportunity to get remarried? And I must say that the 10 years we had were very successful. So at least, even at this late stage in life, I have a new family and contacts, which is a good thing to have. And my political thinking has changed to the point where for a while I was actually a member of the Republican Party. I still have that membership, but they have a good name for me, Rhino, which is a Republican in name only, and that is a true representation. I cannot go along with the philosophy I'm seeing. There are companies that I will be giving a portion of my estate. I think being remembered for my contributions in helping develop new drugs was a basic sign of success, which I look back on.